Yeah, my Travel Wins podcast today. I am pleased to have Dina Parise. How are you today, Dina?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent. Dina, I don't know the proper way to announce this, but you're a drag racer?
I am.
Okay.
I am a professional drag racer. Yep, that would be it.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to throw in the pro mod. You have all the different things going on. Thank you for coming on. And with your background, I really was hoping to talk to you about what it's like to be in a male-dominated sport as a female, but still having to just go in and out and hit different tracks, different states, pressure, performing, and then leaving and starting all over again.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get involved with drag racing?
Well, I always kind of watched, NASCAR and Formula. I was always a big AJ Foyt fan. Still am, one of my favorites,
Okay.
And Mario Andretti. So, but, I never wanted to sit in a car that long. Like I always said, I need to use the restroom and have a snack. Like that is just way too long for me to be sitting in a car. I don't have that kind of patience. Bless them that they can, but I can't do it. So my husband had built a 67 Camaro. And it was blown, supercharged, so it had the big blower coming out the front, for anyone who's not familiar.
Yeah.
And it was about 1,100 horsepower. It ran high eights, low nines in the quarter, meaning 8.8 seconds, 8.9 seconds, or like a low 9 seconds in the quarter mile at 150 miles an hour. So that was how I started.
And now you're in what's called pro mod, and it's considerably more horsepower.
It is. So originally, my husband and I had two cars. So when he built we had two Corvettes, a 63 and a 53. The 53 was his. The 53 was built first, and when he built that originally, I had stepped into the 67, which he had been driving it. So. And he came home one day and he was like, ta-da! And because he knew that I wanted to change classes. And in the driveway is this beautiful, kind of beat up, but it was beautiful. It was the RSSS Camaro body. But it was a steel body. And then I said to him, well, that's really nice, but I want to run Pro Mod. Can't really run Pro Mod with a steel body. So my brother then actually bought that car. He still has it, and he and my husband restored it together. My husband's name is Andrew, and they restored it together. My brother still has that car. It's gorgeous.
That's awesome.
And so it's in the family. And then once I picked my husband up off the floor after I told him I wanted to drive a Pro Mod, we got the wheels going, and then we got the 63. Which was a car I always wanted. I had wanted a 63 Corvette since split window since I was like born, practically. But I never knew it was gonna have. I never knew it was gonna have 3,000 horsepower when I got it. Who knew?
and then, unfortunately, I think is that the car that I saw when I looked you up that crashed?
Actually, actually, she had two crashes. At the same racetrack, oddly enough. And one of those crashes, I was racing my husband. So
maybe he set that up and he just.
It was. They can be very beastly cars. So the first crash, it kind of just got out of the groove, and I just didn't have enough room to go anywhere else, and it smacked the wall and rode up at the Jersey wall and went maybe 5 or so feet in the air and came back down. But I always tell people I was a figure skater, so it was a perfect 6 landing and kept on going. And we had the rest of the day to go because at the time we were running 2 cars. So it was kind of like, suck it up, buttercup. We got stuff to do. Put the car on the trailer and,
and work on the next one.
Yeah, and I think my husband went to the semifinals that day. So
nothing like having a little fun in between.
Sometimes you have to. Those are things you just kind of have to deal with as you roll.
When you travel, like if I were to turn on TV and go, oh, cool, drag racing, okay, done. How long does it take for you guys to get everything together?
It's funny. We don't get asked. I feel like we don't get asked that question enough. So on my social media, I have a tendency to let people in on the other side. It's my husband's a one-man band, so he does all the car preparation before we go. The car, the trailer, the toolbox, everything before we leave. And he does all the maintenance, make sure that everything is, kind of up to snuff. And then, and then he drives the rig there and sets everything up. And we usually have like one or two guys that come in and help us. Okay. By means of, kind of like we'll work for meatballs and beer kind of thing. And I make a mean meatball. That's why they call me Spicy Meatball. So it is a very arduous process, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much, there are times where you travel for 10 hours and then sit and wait to get parked into the race, and then you're going in, and then we have to set everything up. The boys have to put up the awnings and all of that and take the car out and get the car prepped, and, I'm doing social media, and, everybody has
meet
their
and
own
greets
little
and
job.
whatever,
Yeah, everybody has their own little jobs. It's kind of a well-choreographed ballet, Everybody does their own thing, and we kind of meet in the middle.
But if you were racing on Thursday or a Friday, what day do you show up? Like on the Monday?
Well, it depends. So normally we would race on, let's say, Friday, but maybe they'll do some testing on Thursday. So we would try to get there on late Wednesday if we can, so that I'm getting enough rest. I happen to be a migraine sufferer, so
sumatriptan, right?
I do have to.
Is it sumatriptan?
I take Topamax and I take rizatriptan.
There it is.
Which is a Max Salt. It's just the generic, but
you can tell my wife has them too.
Yeah. They're not easy, and especially when you're traveling a lot. I make sure that we always have good food in the refrigerator when we're traveling in the motorhome and stuff, and that, the guys are getting good meals. I make sure that they're eating a good lunch and dinner. So in between rounds, there have been times where I've made lunch for the boys, and I'm still in my fire suit because it's just, we have stuff to do. So and because I'm a migraine sufferer, I have to make sure that I eat too. My husband's always on me, make sure you eat, make sure you get enough sleep. And, I can't be in the race car having a migraine. So there's all these things kind of mixed in. So we don't really eat, we don't stop to eat anywhere when we travel. We take all of our own stuff. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, as far as I'm always out on the road, and it's tough for me because where do you eat, and then you end up eating crap food, and your body end up feeling crappy. Mm-hmm. So you travel in a motor coach, I would assume?
Mm-hmm, yes.
And then so you're bringing your own food and all that. How do you try and stay in extra, do you work out, do extra workouts, or are you just there to race and then get home?
Well, normally we're there just to race. We don't really get to see the cities that we go to, which much like when I skated for the ice show, some cities we didn't get to see because we were so busy. Yeah. And I will normally get my workouts in at the track in the morning. I'll get up a little bit earlier. I always do a track walk and then get a little workout in the morning before the day starts.
When you're because you did ice, let's let everyone know you were a professional ice skater. You did ice capades.
I did,
which is just awesome. And that was more traveling, I would just per se than drag racing.
Well, not necessarily. Okay. So for the ice show, we had our schedule was a different city pretty much every week for maybe 6 to 7 months, 8 months possibly, depending on the tour. Okay. So now we're kind of doing the same thing. Maybe not every week. But it's also a little bit different because we're not able to fly anywhere. We're driving everywhere. We have to be within proximity. But same thing, traveling place to place every week. I always tell everybody they're very equivalent to one another in that respect because you traveled city to city, as I said, week to week. And then many of the racetracks that we go to, just as many of the venues that we used to go to, once you've been to them once or twice, you get to know the people that work there, and it's the same thing here. So we come in and you get to see the same people that are working, and it's like being home again. And then also with the fans, with the ice show, we had the fans would come to the door, or we would do a meet and greet in the lobby or that kind of thing. And the great thing about drag racing is that every ticket is a pit pass. So all of our fans get to come in and be right on top of, the car. Especially, it's a great thing for our marketing partners because we're so one-on-one with our fans, and they're one-on-one with their brand and their logo. It's just a great way to create ROI for any company.
Well, it sounds so eerily similar to the rodeos that I work at. We do the NFR National Finals Rodeo every year in December in Las Vegas. It's a 10-day rodeo, and so they have an individual rodeo every day for 10 days.
Wow.
But we set up our booth. We have I think it was a 4,000 square foot booth. We set up 9 of them at 3 different locations. And then we bring in over 100 people to work all the different booths and everything. And people show up from literally around the world, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you get to hang out in Vegas and party and have fun." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's 4 days. 4 days of setup,
right?
10 days of teardown or of working every day, and then 2 to 3 days of teardown. 16, 17 days in a hotel in Las Vegas gets old.
Yeah,
especially after 10 years of doing it.
Yeah."
I'm not in my 20s, so I'm not going out every night. It's the same thing, but people just, you just show up and you just work. It's like, no, there's a little more to that than that.
Yeah, they're all very similar, and people don't realize, respectfully, that even though the what we're doing, what your business is and what my business is, they're different businesses, but we are still we're still having to do the same amount of work behind the scenes, which people don't see. And the thing about that is you don't want people to see that. We want it to look seamless. We want it to look fun, because it is, but we want it to look fun, and we want people to enjoy it. We don't want to throw on them the fact that, we blew a tire on the way, or something went wrong with with the motorhome. And it's happened where we've arrived places late because, this happened, that happened, the motorhome, the this, the that, and things happen. But you get there, and once you're there, you're like, okay, game on.
That's so true. I had a blowout between Cheyenne, Wyoming and Pueblo, Colorado, going to another show.
So you were like, there was nothing around you, like tumbleweed.
Literally nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was ended up being a 45 mile U-turn. Once we got off the freeway, it was like 22 miles down one way and then 20 back. It was like nothing out there. No lights.
Oh, gosh.
And then 8 o'clock in the morning, you're setting up the next booth. And you're like, hey, how are you today? I've had no sleep. Hope you're having a great day.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's all good. I mean, what's the hardest part for you on the traveling?
Well, it's not the in motion part. That's not so bad. It's probably, the preparation. So I cook the meals before we go. So if I know, once our trips are planned, I cook accordingly. And then I put food in the freezer and take that with us. And, then there's meal planning and who's coming with us. And, I know this one likes to drink. We don't drink soda. So if I know that they drink soda, it's like, okay, this one drinks Pepsi, and this one likes this, and this one likes that. Because I like to make sure that even though they're traveling, that they kind of feel like they're home, so that, they have some things that they, that they like from
And that
home.
does make a big difference.
I hope so. I mean, it
does.
seems like we've had people that have, Dave Jordan, we've worked with him forever. And our friend Butch Branzel, he's worked with us for a long time. Another friend, Jody Lupton, he's worked with us a little bit. So, we've had people that have that are in the industry that have worked with us for quite some time. So I guess it wasn't such a bad gig.
No, yeah. And I always if I can stay at a friend's house or a family member's house, even though it's not my house, it's still better than a hotel room. And it's the same way with meals. It's like if I can get a home cooked meal, it's almost always better than, even if I don't like the food, it's still better than eating at a Chili's or an Applebee's again, or
yeah,
the same old restaurants that I'm always eating at.
Yeah.
So just so you know, that is appreciated. I can only tell you.
Well, that's good to know.
You don't do too much fitness or training when you're out, other than the morning walks, that type of thing.
Yeah, nothing too. I don't do anything too heavy when we're at the racetrack.
Yeah.
So when we're at the track, I'll do a morning walk. I might lift a little bit lightly, do some stair runs with a weight vest on, things like that, but nothing too heavy. I mean, we can't get out to get to a gym anyway, so I have to utilize what's within my means, so to speak.
This is just totally for me question. When you're sitting there, because you're doing around a 6-second quarter mile right now?
Yeah. It's,
a sub-6?
Sub-6, yes.
240, 250, 280 miles an hour?
Yeah, 240 plus, yeah.
Okay. When you hit it, what do you feel the most? Is it your shoulders, your back, your core, your legs, your neck?
Well, not really your legs, because your legs are not doing much. One is, one leg is pushed
putting it
down onto the pedal, and then, which is kind of making sure that you're back in the seat. I would say that you probably feel the most just being kind of pushed back in the seat a little bit, because we leave the line, meaning for anyone who's not a drag racing fan yet, I hope they are after we're done with this interview.
Exactly.
Leaving the line, so you're at what they call the Christmas tree, so the lights come down and then you leave. But we actually have, it's this little kind of line lock control. It's called a trans brake. And you have your foot on the trans brake, and the other foot is actually full throttle. So you're up full throttle before you move.
Oh, nice.
Then you take your hand off the brake and the clutch. Mine is the clutch pedal. Some people have a button, but it's the same thing, or a clutch, and the car launches. So, but the car is actually at about 4,500 RPMs, and it's 3,000 horsepower. Mm-hmm. So we have a G meter in the car, and it's like 3.4 Gs at the leave.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's cool. It's fun. So you probably feel, getting set back in the seat. I have a cool video on my YouTube, and it's an in-car video. It's about 15 minutes long, but it actually takes you through the whole entire run. I explain everything in the car, and then actually what happens during each part of the run, from the burnout to the shutdown.
Oh, cool. I'll make sure to put that in the page link. That way people can just hit a button and go right to it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Other than, I don't know how this works. In rodeo,
mm-hmm.
the cowboys show up, they pay an entrance fee. If they suck, they literally make no money, and they go home. and they're out the money of the travel, the entrance fee, the food, the time, the gas. Is it similar in drag racing, where if you don't place?
Well, I'll give you the most famous statement in drag racing. I don't know where it came from, but if you want to make $1 million in drag racing, start with 4. So that's really about the best analogy that I could probably give you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, and that's why sponsorships are, I would imagine, are so important.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And I'm super lucky that I hope that people who haven't heard of our team or heard of me will, go and take a look. The Cadillac, her name is Stella, after my grandma. As I said, she's 3,000 horsepower, and we've always done a lot of work with the military, our team as a whole. And last year, one of our partners, Speedwire Systems, which is actually a Canadian company,
oh, nice.
They backed a brand new wrap for us, which is a thank you for your service to our armed forces members as well as first responders. So
Well, that's a
I'm
big
super,
help.
super proud of that. And I just I'm now a spokesperson for a charity for children as well. So it's Comfort Crew for Military Children. And, they help children out that are obviously the children of military members. And if they're deployed, they help to work with them to kind of deal with what's happening because, our military members, same with our first responders, it becomes a family ordeal rather than just the individual that is either, enlisted or employed.
Oh, yeah. And my brother-in-law is a captain in Glendale Fire Department, so he's been on quite a few California fires lately.
Well, we wish him a lot of safety because
he was actually he was working on a fire by his city, and his house was in a different county. Actually, he lives up in Santa Barbara area, and his house was in an evacuation zone for another fire, but he couldn't get home to help my sister because he was fighting the fire down in Burbank.
Oh my gosh!
So everything worked out. Their home was on the edge of the evacuation zone, but here you are. You're a fireman. You can't even get to your own house.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I always ask the rodeo guys that we sponsor or that I know. And for me, the name of the show is Travel Wins because for me, I always had to find the different things. When I went out and traveled, I couldn't just go, well, how much money did I make with this trip? Because it just put so much pressure on it. It made it not as much fun. So now if I go out and take a picture of something I haven't seen or go to a museum I wanted to see or just do things to get my mind off the actual work day, it would be a travel win. It would be a win for my day, even if my sales were terrible. So do you have anything like that where do you try and take the pressure off of, obviously you have less than 6 seconds to perform?
Well, there's kind of a few things. I have a couple of things that I do in the car that to take the pressure off myself when I'm engaged in the activity, obviously. Yeah. But before and after, it does become a little stressful for me because before we go, I'm writing PR and I'm making sure that our marketing partners are taken care of. As I was saying before, like we have Speedwire systems. Yeah. Lucas Oil has been with us for a few years. They've been phenomenal. CRC as well. DJ Safety, Wiseco. We have Crank It Media, and then Brow Bell Housing, and all of these companies have, stood behind us kind of thick or thin. So the biggest thing, no matter where I'm traveling, even if I'm going on a trip for something else, I'm still always doing everything I do kind of with them in mind. So I hate to say that I try to find a way to relax, but I really don't. I'm kind of working from every minute when I leave and come back.
Okay, that's cool. I always say everyone's got their own.
My two relaxing things are my walking that I do in the morning and then my stuff that I do in the car when I have my helmet on, which is probably not anything anyone may be able to relate to. I don't know. But, I'm a big believer in, if people are feeling stressed out, if you're feeling like you got some stress going on, taking a walk is always the best thing. Either put a podcast in your ear, put the Travel Wins podcast on and just take a walk and listen and just kind of let everything kind of fall off of you for a little bit and then go back to what you need to do, because I think we don't give ourselves enough of a break.
I totally agree with you. I had a bad situation come up in work today, and I literally walked down with my wife. We walked down to our little restaurant, ate some food, and walked back, and I felt much better.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because I was not in that positive state of mind when I walked down there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I've had quite a bit of that. And, the unfortunate part of that is, now everything follows you everywhere. Social media follows you everywhere. So everywhere you are, if you log on, and then, I know for me, I'm lucky for the most part. Our followers and our fans are so amazing to us and so supportive. But, you always get that one or two that have something negative to say. And I try not to let that sit in my head. I just kind of try to, let that go and kind of accentuate the positive, right? Wasn't there a song like that when we were kids?
Many. many songs that would get that point across. How do you balance? And it sounds like you're spending daily with your husband, but I was going to say, how do you balance the work life? You know, do you ever get to turn it off and you go, okay, hey, we're not talking about Stella right now? Or
we do. We have to. I know some people say the people that I know that are couples that are in the industry, they're like, we never talk about it when we get in the house. I find that hard to believe because
exactly.
I mean, it's going to come up in conversation. Sometimes my way of thinking and his way of thinking are completely opposite. And it's my team, so he kind of has to deal with it. Sometimes he may not agree. And, we try to make it work. It's hard because, we're together a lot. And, sometimes we get on one another's nerves. I've had people that say to me, oh, can you do that thing where we can hear you on the radio in the car? And I'm like, oh, Lord, no. Lord have mercy. No. Nobody, we can't, no.
No means no.
Because I couldn't have anyone hear some of the conversations that go on between my husband and myself just on that little radio.
Those are private conversations.
Well, they're I'm going to say they're not for all ears. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
But do you still have your pug?
She passed away.
Okay.
She passed away. It was 2 years in November. And her name was Bella. She was very well known. She had her own little fan club. And when she passed away, I have to say, people were so wonderful about it. I mean, we got so many cards and letters and messages, and it was awful. But she was 15, so she had a more amazing life probably than some people do. She was always at the racetrack. Yeah, she was always at the racetrack and always everywhere with us, and she was super well trained. So, and then we got a Brussels Griffon after that. Her name was Pickles. She was like 6.5 pounds, little teeny thing. And Pickles died at 8 months old, being spay. So that actually prompted me to start a website for pet lovers called the Pickles Project, because her name was Pickles. So, so that's kind of another one of that's why I'm always working. It's another one of my ventures. And part of that project, what I've been doing now is I have the honor of interviewing some of the canine handlers that are on Life PD.
Right.
And that's been really cool too. Yeah. So, it's some interesting work. I'm trying to finish up one now, and I'm honored that they let me tell their story as well as I can. I'm not a writer by any stretch of the imagination, so everything is kind of written as I think, which can be frightening if you know me. But it's kind of a cool little thing, and it's taking off. And there's a lot to be said for that too. People traveling with their pets. I get tired of seeing, people with their pets kind of just flailing around in the car, that if you stop short, that pet is going to become a projectile.
Yeah, so, I have a French bulldog, and a smush face, and the smush face like a pug, and my wife and I are very, we do the same thing because we have the harness for his body because he can't breathe, and and we're always putting him in the crate and doing this and that. Yeah,
that's good. And we have another Brussels. Her name is Twizzler, so you'll see Twizzler around now. Twizzy is not as good of a traveler as Bella was, but she's learning. We travel her actually in a carry bag. So she goes, when we tell her, okay, we're going bye-bye, she's like, all right. She goes right in her little travel bag, and she's like, okay. And we put her in the car. The travel bag gets strapped in, and we're good to go. So Bella used to do the harness and the seat, and we used to seatbelt the harness in, and she was fine with that. So, yes, people, so strap your pets in, please.
Yeah,
very
absolutely. important. My dog's Louie, and we do the same thing. We have we call it the taco. It's basically for the back seat. It's a dog protector for the back seat, and it has a hole for you to strap them in. into the seatbelt. And we'll do that if we're just doing short trips. And then we just went to Las Vegas this last weekend, and we just put him in the crate and he's tied down and he's good to go.
Yep, there you have it.
It's nice having a lazy dog.
Yeah, that's always helpful.
He's not the wiry get up and go. He's like, yeah, okay, you want me to sleep for a few hours? Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that's how our pug was. This one, not so much.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
But that's such an interesting life, going from skating to racing, and now you've got all these other with the dogs and everything else going on. What advice do you give, specifically younger girls that are kind of going through, I would say like the teenage, even like early 20s, where they go, I don't know what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, even now, for young either athletes or someone who's trying to follow a path and create a brand, I'm actually doing a mentoring program, and you can find on DinaPariseRacing.com. They can find more information, but I do a lot of motivational speaking and keynote speaking, and mentorship program is something that I've begun because sometimes, there's this whole, can girls do this? Can girls do that? I think girls and boys can do whatever they want to do. If a boy wants to be a chef or a hairdresser, he can. If a girl wants to be, a truck driver or a mechanic, she can. So it doesn't really matter what their gender is. I think that people get too stuck on gender. And now we're going completely the other way. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think people get too worried about who's doing what. Just follow whatever your passion is. And whatever that passion is, say you want to be, so our niece went to school to be a pastry chef. She works at the Modern in New York City now. And she's an amazing pastry chef. And she started cooking cakes when she was like 12. And it is just something that she wanted to do. So I always tell the kids when I meet them, I'm like, listen, if you find something that you like, pursue it. Maybe it won't be the thing that will pan out. Something may branch off of that. You never know. But, hey, if you don't try it, then you're not going to know whether or not you like it. So.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I have 23 and 25-year-old daughters, and they listen to me, but not as much as I think they should. You know what I mean? But I told them when they graduated college, I'm like, look, no one's got it figured out. It doesn't matter if you're a recent college graduate or 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, celebrity, whatever. Everyone's trying to do better, be smarter, be fast. Everyone's trying to figure it out. No one's got it down yet. So don't. I told them not to get too much in their own head. Like, I figure it out. I feel like every day when I wake up. Yeah. I feel like it's a new day. Who knows what the heck's going to happen today? I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to, it's something positive going to hit me, something negative going to hit me. I have to roll with it. And then, that's why I started this Pickles project, because I love animals, and I've people in the industry that from West Hills Animal Hospital in New York, Dr. Alan Corin, he was Bella's veterinarian for like 13 of her 15 years, or at least 12. And, he's a contributor on the Pickles Project website. So I feel like I don't want to do too many things and spread myself too thin, but I have things that I'm concentrating on, as I said. And one of them is the Pickles Project. And then the other one is, the mentorship and the public speaking, because it's something that I'm super passionate about. Yeah, that's literally how I feel about my podcast. From reaching out to other people, and hopefully by sharing stories of other travelers, maybe makes their life a little easier on the road, or either listen to it and go, oh, okay, I'm not the only one out here struggling with fitness or food, or I'm gaining pounds by eating McDonald's every day while I'm out on the road.
Yeah, I think my best piece of advice. So when I used to travel a lot, I used to always just try to find if I had to stay in a hotel, just try to find a local grocery store. And 9 times out of 10 now in a hotel, you either have a refrigerator or can request one.
Yeah.
So a local grocery store and get some, fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that, because those are things that you're lacking, and that's where you start to feel sluggish because you're eating just junk. So, if you put some healthy stuff in that refrigerator, you're going to eat it. If you buy it, you're going to eat it. So,
and then you'll feel better throughout the day.
Yeah, and I always kind of tell people that too. Always make sure that you're hydrated, especially because it's so dry in the hotel. And the biggest thing, and I don't know, some people know this, some people. I'm a germaphobe.
Oh shit.
Germaphobe. My husband will tell you. He's like, he's lucky I'm not hosing him down before, but like when he comes in the house. So.
I hear you.
From traveling to all the different hotels that I traveled to in my Ice Capades days when I was younger, I was a bit of a germaphobe then. I'm probably worse now because I'm in my 50s. So I always carry like Clorox, and Clorox makes wipes that come in a travel size. Yep. And as soon as I get in that room, every single doorknob, the thing on the sink, the toilet, the remote controls, the lamps, everything gets a good wipe down.
You and my wife would get along just fine.
Mm-hmm. I think it's super important because people go to the restroom, they don't wash their hands, and then they pick up the remote control for the TV. I'm just throwing that one out there for you people. Giving that one to you.
You can say them all. I've heard them all.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. So
I know my wife is. She's like, she always, when I travel, I'm an independent contractor, so the company doesn't pick up the dime, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not with my wife, I stay I'm not staying in a $200 a night hotel because to me it's just a waste. But I don't want to spend it. You know what I mean? I'm not doing the $29 room either. So I'm somewhere in between.
So you're sleeping on top of the covers still? Is that what you're telling me?
I did that one time. I had pre-booked a room. It was Northern California, and I walked in the room and went, "Oh shit, it's already paid for." I literally slept on top of the covers in my clothes, and I didn't move. Woke up, took a shower, got out. That was it.
I've actually done that. I've done that once or twice myself.
Yeah, but she's like, "Oh, what about bed?" I go, "Babe, I don't want to know because I'm already there. I can't do anything about it." So, and thankfully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything's worked out. But like most of the places I stay at, I wouldn't stay at if my wife was with me.
One of the biggest things too is when they have the comforters. Yeah, don't take the comforter, just fold it over and put it at the end of the bed, because that thing never gets washed. And I
throw it on the floor.
I'm gonna leave it right there. Well, see, you throw it on the floor, so it's on the bed, but you're putting it on the floor and they're just putting it back on the bed.
Yeah.
So, and they're making the whole bed. I take it off, I fold it up, and I'll tell them they don't even have to come in my room the whole time.
I do the same thing. I put on the do not disturb for the 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I can use the towels, just like I'm at home. I don't get fresh towels every day,
Yep.
when I'm at home. So just leave me alone.
Just give me a couple of extra towels. I'm good.
Yep. I'm with you. And that's the fun stuff. The Clorox wipes actually work out really well.
Yeah, those
are
awesome.
Like you said, they're travel size, so you can put them in the little pouch and just take them with you.
Yeah, and when we're on the road, I'm kind of, my husband always equates me to like Howie Mandel, because when we're at the racetrack, I always have like the wet ones or Clorox wipes outside. People are always wanting to shake my hand, and I don't want to say no. Mm-hmm. So, and I get people want to hug me all the time. It's the summer and people are sticky and sweaty, and I'm always with the wipes. Yeah, it's very funny. I never do it in front of them because I don't want to insult anyone, but yeah.
No, it's so interesting because I'm the same way. When I work at NFR at the rodeo, I think we're getting anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 people a day coming through.
Wow.
And after 10 days, I'm around 50 to 100,000 new and exciting, sometimes sick people.
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh, geez, come on now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Don't get me sick. This year I only got a little sick. I almost always get sick after being gone for 16 days and around that many people. And I try to do good, but 2 years ago I got really sick when I came home. This year was just a couple of days of head cold, so it wasn't too bad. But it's getting rest. Like you said, hydrating. The one thing you said that I haven't had anybody say yet is how dry hotel rooms get.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because there's no fresh air.
Yeah, and that I think goes back to my migraine thing too. So I've learned that.
I actually bring a small humidifier with me.
Mhm.
Like if I go to Denver or Vegas, I'll bring a small little bedside humidifier and just have that running over my bed at night, so I don't dry out.
Yeah, it's bad, especially when you're in places like Vegas. It's horrible. It's so dry.
How come do your drag races get out to Pomona anymore?
They do. NHRA does travel to Pomona. That's the Winter Nationals, the first race. It was 2 weeks ago. They don't run Pro Mod in that race anyway, but we haven't been really out to the West Coast. Of course, we'd love to be, but we need a little bit more funding for that. So yeah. So if anyone is out there, looking to fund a team that is not, I always tell people we're not really just a race team though. I'm more of a marketing entity than a race team. I'm way more concerned of course I'm concerned to win, but I'm more concerned about how I'm going to fulfill my requirement for my marketing partners. That's a big deal to me.
Well, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, it's the same way with the Cowboys that you see on TV and the World Champs. We sponsor several of them, and part of their gig is to come around and they have to do meet and greets and sign autographs. It's what they have to. And most of them don't like to do it necessarily. They don't hate it, but it's like they're rodeo guys.
Yeah,
they want to get on their horse and throw a rope. They don't necessarily want to sign up, but that's what they have to do. And I know the sponsors, if they don't have a good rodeo year, they can still get around and do things just by having good sponsorships. So it's something that we all have to do it, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
So because I looked on the Pro Mod, I didn't see where you guys came out here at all. I was kind of bummed. I wanted to.
So Pro Mod will run. They run Vegas.
Okay.
One of the Vegas races. I think there's two. They run Vegas at the end of the year. I know that. If you go on NHRA's website, it's broken down because Pro Mod and Pro Mod Motorcycle, and I think Nitro Holly don't all go to every race. I think they're 10 races respectively to the 20 or 23.
Okay.
That the Nitro teams run.
Maybe I'll be able to get out to the Vegas one. That'd be fun. That's the Nat. Is that the
It's
the
right before. No, excuse me. It's right before the finals in Pomona.
Okay.
But it is the same week as SEMA.
Oh man.
So it's usually Halloween, and it's usually that race, Halloween, and SEMA, like all in that. SEMA's right after.
That's got to be just nutty.
It's fun. I went this year, and I was helping a friend of mine, Tracy Rudka. Her family owned Mr. Gasket, and she runs the Quarter Mile Foundation.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. So if anybody gets a chance to check it out, and if you want to learn about some great drag racing history, the Quarter Mile Foundation it's a 501, it's a charity, and she's interviewing all these racers, as they kind of retire, and talking to them about, their life and what they did. And there's some amazing stories and some really cool people that she's interviewed. She's just keeping our drag racing history alive, which is not an easy task.
No, I mean, maybe it's just me, but it seems like it used to be bigger. Is that accurate? I don't know. I mean, I remember some of the racers when I was a kid and seeing them on ABC Wide World of Sports and all that, and now I don't.
That's so funny. I was just talking about Wide World of Sports. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. The kids don't know that, though.
I know.
We're dating ourselves.
That's the only time I feel old, is when I say something to my daughters, and they're like, what? Like, never mind.
Yeah. It did used to be on Wide World of Sports, and now the way our sports channeling works is so different now. So
you have the Speed Channel, though, right?
Not Speed Channel. It's actually on FS1. There is no more Speed Channel. It's on FS1. And then there is a lot of drag racing that is live on the internet, which is kind of cool too. So, you can just kind of log on and check out things through like live stream and that kind of thing. If you go on 1320 online, they always have lists of different drag racing events that you can catch on live stream.
Okay.
So like the March meet is going to be on pay-per-view, that kind of thing. So you can kind of go on there and click and check it out.
Yeah, it's always just a matter of exposure, I think. Getting the word out of upcoming events and all that.
Well, the great thing about these series that are broadcast online as opposed to on TV, there's a lot less that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And there's a chat room there, so there's live people are actually they're interacting with one another, which is nice. And I know the great thing about it is I know that I've been in there myself on a non-race weekend, and it's very nice because they'll talk about our marketing partners. Right. They'll talk about, hey, did you see, Speedwire did blah, 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 or, and I also make it known that all of the products and services that we are partnered with, we actually utilize.
Yeah.
So that's nice too. So I can turn around and say, yes, so we use Lucas Oil, we use the CRC products. I've Crank It Media actually just redid our website. We just did a kind of a soft relaunch. I need to do the big deal, but we're just tweaking a few things and did a beautiful job. So, these marketing partners, we actually work with them so we can easily recommend them to other people.
I think that's so key. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents worth. But we do, we're in a similar boat. We're trying to get more awareness on the products that I sell, which would make it easier for me to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's, we want to do the same thing. But that's the life we live. Don't you wish you could just show up and get in the car and just hit the button and be over in 6 seconds?
You know what? There's part of me that says yes, and there's part of me that says no.
Yeah.
Because, for one, we own our car. So it's ours to take care of and, baby and do everything that we need to do to it. And, so I'm kind of not at anyone else's mercy, sure, so to speak. And we make our own schedule. And I don't know, there were times I was like, oh, I wish I could just fly in. And then there were other times I'm like, no, you know what? I like being in the motorhome and, and we talk about, our plans for, for the weekend going in and our, what we're going to do and are we going to change anything? So, I don't know that I would want to just kind of hop in there and go. I think I like a little bit more preparation.
Yeah. Well, is there ever too much preparation, or is there a balance for racing?
I mean, I think that there's always, you can, like with anything, you could overthink things, in that respect. But I don't think there's too much preparation when it comes to, a race car that goes 240 miles an hour in the quarter of a mile and your safety kind of thing. You can never over prepare for that. So, we always take every precaution and talk about everything. And I'm not really mechanically inclined. So, the work that I do with him on the car is minimal. I wish I knew more, but I don't. And but I am one with that race car. So if I hear something, feel something, smell something, whatever, my husband calls me Hawkeyes and hawk ears because I hear everything.
Yeah.
So
that's
if something goes wrong,
important, though.
Yeah. So if something goes wrong, I can let him know.
Yeah.
So his preparation is probably worse than mine because he's making sure that everything is, where it needs to be. And I think that's stressful for him, especially with being, with his wife being in the car.
I was just going to mention that. It's got to be, he's literally the reason why his wife could live and die in this car that's going to go 240 miles an hour. It is a big responsibility, which is why he, even though we have other people that help us and have helped us for so many years, I know he still double checks everything. Yeah.
I know he does. And there are times where something will happen if I'm strapped in the car and something will happen around me and he'll just make sure that I don't know it so that I don't have anything in my head when I'm going down the racetrack. If it's not anything that I need that's pertinent for me to know at that moment, then we wait and he'll tell me after the run or after the day's over, depending on what it is and how detrimental it is to my Jay. So.
Got it. In rodeo, many of the events they're sub 4 seconds on some of them. The team roping, the steer wrestling's 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds. Obviously, bull riding's 8 seconds. A lot of them are getting sports psychologists to talk to because it's such a mental game. The horse does what the horse does and this and that, but when you're talking a thousandth of a second being a difference between money and no money.
Yeah.
Have you seen that getting into the drag racing world?
I've seen it in pretty much everything.
Okay.
I was a professional figure skater before, so with elite athletes on that side, it's huge.
Right.
And which, by the way, I have to say, the bull riders, hats off to them because you would never catch me on one of those. I would drive a 3,000 horsepower car forever before I would put myself on one of those bulls.
Me too.
That's insane. It's insane.
I have a friend that he used to be a professional bull rider. I was in his wedding party, and he keeps wanting me to get out to his ranch. He's like, "Hey, you can get on some of my easy bulls." I'm like, "Hey, you don't understand. I'm in my 50s. I have zero desire to ride a bull that wants to step on and throw me off. Zero. That's not even like, what do you think? Maybe? No.
No, just a big no.
I go, for one, Tony, I've seen what happens to you, and you're a professional. He's tore his ACLs, MCLs, been gashed in the head, stepped on, ribs. I'm like, no. I'm going to go sit in my truck and drive to my next appointment and make some money.
Yeah, no, they really have got some crazy, there's a crazy gene there, for sure. In a good way.
Well, even like the steer wrestlers, one of my friends, Hunter Cure, he's a 2-time world champ steer wrestler. You know, he's jumping off his horse to land on a 500 to 600, 700 pound steer and wrestle it to the ground. Like, why would you jump off a perfectly good horse to jump on a 500 pound steer?
Yeah, that's insane.
And, you know, you have to do it in 4.3 seconds.
That's crazy. That's
or you
crazy.
make no money and you get to drive home.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just interested if I didn't know if the psychologist part has gotten into the drag racing world.
Yeah, and I think that maybe.
There we go.
Okay.
You can tell I've been married. I'll go ahead and take the blame for our technical difficulties.
That's good.
I'm sure it was my fault.
She trained you well. I like it.
Exactly.
I like it already.
No comment.
She's like me. She hates germs, and she has you trained well. It's pretty good. We're fast friends already.
Exactly. And she was an ice skater.
That's right. And she's an ice skater. See, I think we're like sisters from another mister or something.
She's getting into roller skating right now.
Is she going to do roller derby?
No. She doesn't want to get hit.
Okay.
We went to her first skate park where she got to go up and down the ledges and all that. We went on a day when there was no kids there, so it wasn't embarrassing for any of us. But yeah, so she's kind of like you, where she's just like, well, what should I do next?
Yeah, is she doing inline?
No, she's on quads.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. They're harder than inline.
And and she doesn't like inline. I always thought she would because she skated. You know, I skated for so long.
That's funny.
But she likes quads. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, hey, whatever makes you comfortable. That's good.
Whatever makes you happy. That's all that matters to me.
Exactly.
So we can wrap this up. So there's a lot of ways for people to reach out to you. I'm gonna include them all: the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the YouTube page, where they can actually see behind the scenes. Your website. I have Dina Parise Racing.
Yes, and you can find all the social media right on the website itself.
All my links, I'll definitely include that.
Okay.
That way people can reach out to you.
I just started a cool new blog series too. I just did the first one. It's Women Crush Wednesdays. So I'm
What's it called? Oh, Women
Crush Wednesdays. So it's going to be, women who have inspired me. So my first one was Miss Bunny Burkett, who was a drag racer, and she's phenomenal. So there's a little piece in there if anybody wants to read the blog. It's kind of cool.
That's the great for me. Like, I love technology, even though I'm in my 50s. I could be that curmudgeon. I have some friends that are like, I don't want to do it.
Curmudgeon.
I mean, I get to stay in touch with people. I get to read about things that never. Driving as an outside salesperson, I still remember the days, no cell phones, maybe a pager, map books, multiple map books when you're driving around different counties and states, faxing orders, mailing orders, typewriters. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with where we're at. Don't you wish you had the old days? I'm like, nope.
No, I couldn't. It's funny because one of my older brothers has a crazy sense of humor. So back in the day when I skated for the ice show, and there wasn't, it was before cell phones, and it was when you had to call the hotel and call the person's room, or send a fax or a package to the hotel. So he used to send faxes all the time, just like false things that were very that were hilarious to me, but probably jarring to the people who were receiving them. And it was hilarious. I mean, he used to do it all the time. And then it got to the point where my coworkers would be like, "Oh, what'd your brother send this time?"
They just knew, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, he used to say, I can't even repeat some of the things that he sent, but he sent some things that were just absolutely hilarious. And it's my big brother. He's just being a goofball. Funny.
But I still remember, like, the negative is there's no getting away from it. Meaning, I used to, my boss, my store, my accounts. It was the weekend. It was the weekend. Now it's just another day. It's like, well, I'll just send an email, a text, a video.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting emails and texts. And one of my accounts always sends me stuff on Sunday. And I go, dude, you know it's Sunday, right? He goes, yeah, I don't expect you to do anything with it. I'm like, yeah, but it comes in. It's like,
right, but it's still Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are negatives, but the positive, for me at least, the positive way outweigh. Like you said, just walking and listening to a podcast. So you can learn something. You can learn about Bunny Burkett now, like by reading your blog. There's just so much information out there that's cool to be able to have access to.
She's a fascinating, very inspirational person. So she's pretty cool. Yeah.
And now you're being interviewed for the same reason.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, so it's very inspirational, and I truly appreciate all the time you gave me. And sorry again for the technical delay. I'll make sure I clean it up and edit.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I can't wait to see what you have for the rest of the year. I want to. Do you announce on your social media that if you're going to be at a race and it's a live stream event, you put the link and all that in there?
Yes.
Oh,
so yeah. Right now we're on hold. So as I told you before, thankfully our marketing partners are behind us all the way, so that's good. We're on hold for other reasons too, but so we're just kind of waiting things out a little bit, and then we'll get back to it. And in the meantime, I'll just
do everything else.
Post, and wherever I'm going to be, if I do something for the Comfort Crew, or if I do, I did an appearance here at Dobbins Air Reserve Base, so things like that. So we still try and get out, and have the car out and people looking at it. So, at least we feel like we're not just keeping it in the garage,
Oh, yeah. It's a big paperweight. But technical questions, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I keep thinking of different things. Sorry. The tires, how many runs do you get out of a tire?
It depends. We've been running the 8th mile racing. And so with 8th mile, I'm going to say 22 runs, maybe 22, somewhere in that area.
And as the driver, do you notice the difference between that second run and the 20th run?
You do.
Yeah.
When they're starting to go away.
Does that mean that's the rear tires, not so much the fronts? Or?
Yes, not the fronts, the rears.
Okay.
Because that's the one that you're doing the burnout with, and the launch, and so they're definitely taking the brunt of everything. But
so once again, sorry for the technical difficulties. Just to wrap it up, I was just saying thank you so much for the time that you gave me today, Dina. Super appreciate it. I feel smarter by talking to you.
Well, thank you.
I'll let you know when we get it posted up. And is there anything you want to add on at the end, or?
No, I don't think so. They can check me out at DinaPariseRacing.com, and then they can also head to the Pickles Project if they'd like. And
perfect.
That's thepicklesproject.com.
There you go. I appreciate it, and I will stay in touch with you. Thanks, Dina.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.